Tottenham Hotspur and transfers have not been the best of friends in the past year, but this summer should see that awkward relationship finally change. Chairman Daniel Levy is likely to be forced into making moves in the transfer market this summer, almost 18 months after Lucas Moura became the last player to join Tottenham back in January 2018. There will be players who move on, with fears still floating around about the futures of key players Christian Eriksen, Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld. The contracts of all three of those Spurs stars end in 2020, and Alderweireld has a clause which means he can leave for just £25 million this summer if that bid comes in before the final 2 weeks of the window. So Spurs need to start preparing for the worst, but also to naturally bolster Mauricio Pochettino's side for their first full season in their new stadium and convince the Tottenham boss that the club have his back as envious eyes watch him and his players closely. However, we must also remember that as Spurs we're talking about, the club are notoriously reluctant to spend the big money others will or offer mega wages, so we've offered cheaper alternatives to each star name that could improve Pochettino's squad. Tanguy Ndombele, the 22-year-old Lyon midfielder, is unfortunately on most elite European clubs' shopping lists this summer, and his performances in the Champions League have only increased his value. Spurs have looked at the France international in recent years, but Lyon president Jean-Michel Aulas slapped a £70 million price tag on the dribbling powerhouse, who is as close to his almost namesake Mousa Dembele as Spurs are likely to get. Tottenham would struggle to compete with Europe's elite if they moved for Ndombele, but if they could pull if off, it would be a real statement signing. However, with Harry Winks, Moussa Sissoko, Dier and Victor Wanyama in the central midfield slots and Oliver Skipp coming through, Pochettino would have to move on one of them to make room. The cheaper option, Jack Grealish, the 23-year-old Aston Villa midfielder, is not a straight alternative for Ndombele, although he did play in a deeper role under Steve Bruce last season as the Midlands side reached the playoff final. What Grealish would bring is a versatile homegrown midfielder who can play in the Eriksen role or in the Winks role. Spurs messed around in their attempts to sign Grealish last summer and waited too long to make their move. It is believed that they could have got him earlier in the window for the eventual bid they made later once new money had been invested into Villa. Grealish himself thought the move was about to go through and was looking forward to the challenge. To ease the disappointment, he was handed a new deal by Villa, but his season has been disrupted by a shin injury which has kept him out since early December. The young midfielder is so important to Villa that the team have won just 2 of their 12 championship games in his absence and now sit 10th, 9 points off the playoff spots. Grealish is expected to finally return to the bench this weekend as he looks to build his fitness. He will try to help restore Villa's quickly fading promotion hopes, and Tottenham will be watching closely. Matthijs de Ligt, another player in the Ndombele category of potentially playing himself out of Tottenham's price bracket and into the hands of Europe's biggest clubs. The 19-year-old Ajax captain has been leading the way once again for the club as they battle with PSV for the Eredivisie title and have reached the last 16 of the Champions League and the semi-finals of the Dutch Cup. Spurs have long been looking at de Ligt as a potential replacement for Alderweireld, and the teenage Netherlands international enjoyed a fruitful season alongside Davinson Sanchez before the Colombians moved to Tottenham. Ajax midfielder Frenkie de Jong has already agreed a deal to move to Barcelona, and Spurs would have to fight off some similarly big spenders, potentially Barcelona, if they want to add one of Europe's most talented teenagers to their list of former Ajax players. He is reportedly being valued at more than £60 million by the Dutch giants. The cheaper option Joachim Andersen, the 22-year-old Sampdoria centre-back, has been scouted by Spurs this season after breaking into the Serie A side on a regular basis after joining 18 months ago. Andersen, who is valued at around £35 million, is aware of the interest in his services, but the young Dane wants to make sure his next move is the right one. "I really just concentrate on being here, and then we have to see what happens this summer," he told Danish newspaper Ekstrabladet. "Because right now nothing has to happen. It's too early. It is important that a club has the right plan with me. I need a view of playing time. I also don't mind being a season more in Sampdoria. It's hard to say which is my favorite league, England, Spain, or Italy. But it comes mostly to the club, which must have a good plan for me, and it must make sense in the long term. I have to take the right steps at the right times. So I don't really care if it's Tottenham, Inter, or Atletico Madrid." David Brooks, the one who got away for Spurs. The club didn't pull the trigger on a move for the talented young midfielder last summer, as they instead pursued Grealish in what would be a failed attempt. Instead, Bournemouth snapped up Brooks for just £12 million from Sheffield United, and he has proven to be one of young stars of this Premier League season. The 21-year-old has scored 6 goals and laid on 4 assists from the right in 22 league appearances for the Cherries since making the move to the South Coast. The cost of Tottenham's dallying over a move for him could cost them big if they are to return for the young Welshman, with a valuation as high as £50 million mooted just a year after his move. The cheaper option Jarrod Bowen has been one of the big success stories of the Championship season, following on from an impressive previous campaign. Playing on the right, the 22-year-old Hull City midfielder has plundered 16 goals and laid on 3 assists in the Championship. Spurs have been in attendance at most of Bowen's matches this season, along with the likes of Everton and Leeds, but decided not to make a move in the January window, as with his flurry of goals he's scored 12 in his last 13 matches. His price rocketed up to the £20 million mark. Tottenham will continue to watch the young midfielder, and they could well test the water in the summer with a bid. Ryan Sessegnon, the Fulham teenager, was the toast of the Championship last season, and despite interest from Spurs, Manchester United and Liverpool, he chose to sign his first professional deal with his boyhood club and realize his dream of playing for them in the Premier League. Despite scoring twice and laying 5 assists for the struggling Cottagers, Sessegnon has not made the impact some expected. Although for an 18-year-old taking his first steps in the top flight, it's all part of his development. Claudio Ranieri does not appear to trust the talented teenager, and he has lost his place in the starting side since the turn of the year. Spurs will likely return for him this summer, and Sessegnon could be more than tempted if his situation stays the same. The £50 million valuation on him, though, is unlikely to have dropped. The cheaper option Jack Clarke, another 18-year-old who Spurs have been watching closely. Clarke has broken into the Leeds United setup this season under Marcelo Bielsa. The versatile winger can play on either the right or left and has weighed in with 2 goals and an assist from the bench as Leeds fight for promotion. Clark is still very much a raw talent, but if Spurs are looking to get back to their policy of signing young English talent that the club can turn into stars, then the teenager fits that mold. Isco probably the least likely Spurs purchase on this list, but if the worst-case scenario did happen and Eriksen made the move to Real Madrid, then Tottenham would certainly inquire about Isco. The 26-year-old Spain international has plummeted out of favor in Madrid this season and has started just 5 La Liga matches in a difficult campaign for the Spanish Giants. Isco is a very different player to Eriksen, and Pochettino would have to remodel his team somewhat to incorporate him. His price will still be massive, but the talented Spaniard could just be an opportunity too good not to move for. Unfortunately, that will probably be the same idea many clubs would have. James Rodriguez could likely fall into the same category this summer after his loan at Bayern Munich. The cheaper option, James Maddison, another whose Spurs missed the boat on signing last summer as he made the move to Leicester from Norwich City. Maddison has shown some inconsistency this season, but has still registered 5 goals and 4 assists for the Foxes and has generally been considered a Premier League success story. There has been talk of a £70 million valuation, which seems excessive for the 22-year-old despite him being just 12 months into his new contract, although that would likely still be less than what Real Madrid will ask for Isco. If Eriksen were to depart from North London, then Spurs could do a lot worse than splashing out to let Pochettino develop Maddison into his heir. Keep up to date with the latest Tottenham Hotspur news, features and exclusives from football. London via our free WhatsApp service. Text news to 07776197989 and then add the number to your phone contacts book as Spurs.London, case sensitive, with spaces, to receive daily updates and breaking news from Alasdair and the team on Spurs. Your phone number won't be shared with any other members of the group. Click here for more information on the service.